what's the best approach to network interoperability for hybrid cloud and multi-cloud? I laughed a lot when I saw this question. Because on the surface, as you begin to look at what's available to you for network features and functionality, it does vary substantially. And so you end up having to move to some third-party overlay system that can abstract away what all is here. But I'll let you guys talk and share your thoughts. Yvonne already with the no. Expand on that.
It's your second don't of 2 out of 3 questions, Yvonne. It's like don't.
No, honestly, remember that routing was invented for a reason. As long as you keep things simple and you route between different clouds and you use technologies that the cloud providers actually encourage, like BGP and IPsec or Direct Connect, life is good. It works. You know how it works. Let's move on. The moment you start trusting vendors and their white papers, sorry, Erica,
it's okay.
and, they are talking about layer 2 stretched across 3 clouds. Good luck.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough. I think the best thing is just, the best approach is to actually just figure out what is the core responsibility for, like what are the requirements for why you want to do like a hybrid cloud environment. I agree with you. Sometimes with the and even I work for a vendor, but it's better to have a clear understanding of what you want to do with your cloud. I've seen more customers kind of go in a situation where they want to have a hybrid cloud solution, but they are not really understanding what the primary goal is of what they're trying to accomplish. So I think you have to clearly define your goals and objectives first, and have a criteria or at least a checkbox for what is clearly defined as success, because the vendor's success may be completely different than what the customer wants. So,
It's kind of like getting back to the question before. It's a layer 8 issue. Yeah, and
right.
I see in my customers the main driver for hybrid cloud is that this group has gone to Amazon and this group has gone to Azure, and nobody has told the network team yet until they find it out. Correct. And so then it's like, okay, so how do we make it work?
Yeah, and that's when it gets jumped back to the NOC team. They're just like, hey, get it working.
Yeah. And so then to make them take that step back and say, we need to do our planning before we do our execution is a tough thing.
So one thing that,
sorry, Nick, go on.
I was gonna say one thing that came to my mind is not necessarily related to the interoperability, but something to be mindful of that's often forgotten in the hybrid cloud bursting, and other cloud services world is remember to take your WAN connectivity to the given resource into account as you're building the architecture, because a lot of times that gets forgotten because it's just there already, but it may require some traffic augmentation to be able to fully support, especially if you're doing more than one multi-cloud.
Well, I have a question, and that leads to a question for the panel and maybe the listeners. One solution that I have a customer using is they're going to Equinix in this case, a consolidator, I guess, to a colo spot that then has fast connections out to multiple clouds. Do you see that happening? Do you think, is that something that you recommend?
Yes.
That's how I've done it, and that's how I've seen it done for the most part, is you get to your exchange point, you make sure you have adequate connectivity to the exchange point, and then you connect to the resources bilaterally or however you want to do it.
Yeah, and more or less everyone is sitting at Equinix or something similar anyway.
Yeah, not
I
to
feel
be
like this is like
advertising.
a kind of a two-part question though, right? Like from a network perspective, I think this is all relatively solved things, whether we like the answer or not. Route, BGP, problem solved. And then the rest is how do you actually have applications that are spun up, spun down in whatever clouds, and then that's a whole other conversation about K8s or config management.
That's also a solved problem.
Yeah, for sure. But like
Terastream
as network folk, we're generally not
whatever
talking about that part.